Hello again and welcome to the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything franchising. And today we're once again at the CouriersPlease office in Melbourne, and we're joined by James Hucker, who's the head of franchising for CouriersPlease. G'day, James.
G'day, Glenn.
Hello again.
Yes, again.
We talk again. We've already done some stuff today and also spoken to some franchisees, so it's been a great morning here. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
This is one I really like, this podcast we're about to do now, and it's called The 5 Key Things, and it gives people a real picture about a brand. So this is the 5 key things that have made the CouriersPlease business what it is today. So we talk about 5 things, and we've done a bit of a pre-brief or a brief before we did this, and we've listed off 5 things, and we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give those headings, and we'll roll with it.
Excellent.
All right. So the first thing that you think that's the 5 key things that have made the CouriersPlease business what it is today is changing the model from subcontractor to franchise partner, and this happened a little while ago. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so that occurred in 2012.
So it's 11 years ago now from where we are today?
Correct. And in all honesty, coincided with the new ownership under Singapore Post.
Yep.
The franchise model itself brings a lot of things to the table that we previously didn't consider that we could add value. One fact is we call our couriers, if you like, franchise partners now, which is an important aspect for us within the business culturally. But I think the accountability and the differences that we can bring from the franchising industry into support our franchise partners has made a difference.
And how do you think it's played out on the ground for those partners? So do partners go at that time from being a subcontractor almost overnight, and you had to go to them at that time to say, do you want to sign this new agreement? What was all that like?
Correct, yeah. So there was a little bit of change management, as you could expect.
I can imagine.
And most of the subcontractors at the time didn't really understand what a franchise model meant and what it could mean to them. And I think the value that it could bring to their business, to their territory, and the asset that they now owned and were developing. I think, like I said initially, potentially some apprehension around that change, but over the years we've continually tried to drive and deliver things that do increase that value and will attract new franchise partners and really allow us to flex the benefits of a franchise model.
Excellent. And I think, and the second thing that we talked about is of the 5 key things was a gentleman by the name of Richard Thame coming on board as your CEO.
Yes.
To CouriersPlease. Tell me why you see that and why the business sees that as such a key inflection point.
Yeah, look, we've had great CEOs right along the path, so we'll just put that out there.
Yeah, not at all what the discussion was.
And of course, and Richard Thame is our newest CEO, and over the last 18 months, he's really brought a focus to the franchising aspect.
Because he comes from a very strong franchising background, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah. So, strong ties with the FCA and, a long list of franchise model businesses that he's worked for and produced results for. So, look, coming into the business, there was a lot of excitement around what he could bring, and he has continued to do that, since he started. I mean, my role in itself never used to exist. The department that we house, and
so what's your department?
So I'm the head of franchising. We head up the franchising team, and we basically provide support for franchisees from recruitment, so right from the beginning, right through to the end. We work closely with a COO who has direct ties to each of the state heads, right through to the franchise support managers and obviously the 800 plus franchises that we have around the country. So was structure all not previously there at all? So what was the structure like?
That's
right. So we were more operationally based, which probably stemmed from the subcontractor to days, and coming in and having a proper framework set up for the success and support of franchise partners has been key for us. We continue to grow in this space and bring new things to the table for our franchise partners.
Obviously always evolving. Yeah.
The FCA, the Franchise Advisory Council is a perfect example of that. We're now on our 10th meeting, so we've been operating for nearly 12 months in that forum, and I think we're nearly up to 50 recommended actions to the SLT that we've been able to push into the network successfully.
So for people who don't know, what is that and how does that work in FAC?
Yeah, so we engaged Greg Nathan early on, our Franchise Relationship Institute. He helped us generate a charter, which basically brings representatives from right around the country, successful franchisees, together. We meet once every 6 weeks. We talk about important agenda items that marry up with the charter, so they affect more than 20% of the network, all the things that we decided on as a group. So we forged the charter ourselves as a team, including all franchise partners there. And, we do come together. We sit for probably about 2 hours to discuss all of those agenda items that are put forward, either by the the members themselves or other franchise partners reaching out through them. And then we come up with recommendations to go back to the SLT, and it's my role to bring that to the SLT, present those, and we either get acceptance through the SLT, or we go back and we say,
senior leadership team.
Correct, yeah. Or we go back and we say, look, there's a couple of things we need to think about that perhaps we didn't discuss in that forum, and we'll have another look at those recommendations.
Excellent. Okay, and this is probably the structure that you think you were saying that Richard has been able to help bring in with his extensive experience in franchising prior.
Yeah, definitely, and it even stems to our first strategic offsite, setting up the strategic pillars for the SLT. The first being growth, which is obviously commercially driven. The second being franchising, which is now the core centre pillar, and the third being transformation.
Excellent. Okay, the third thing that has made the CouriersPlease business what it is today. And we talked about this quite a bit today, and that's the massive surge in growth that you've had over a very short space of time. How has that impacted the business, and why is it so important in the business?
Yeah, look, we've seen incredible growth. Obviously, a primary catalyst was COVID. Again, we put that behind us.
I just knocked my own microphone over there.
And that's just been something that we've built on year after COVID. So, we went up over 200% through that period. But the fantastic thing is we've been able to continue to do year-on-year highs when it comes to volume. So doing over 30 million parcels per annum at the moment, and we're seeing ourselves go from strength to strength. When you do end up speaking to Richard, he'll probably talk about some of the marquee brands and the enterprise customers we've been able to bring on successfully. But it's not to turn away from the 40,000 small to medium customers that really have built the business over time. Yeah.
So how did you handle that surge at that time? Operationally, I can imagine it must have been incredibly challenging.
It was, and depending on the state, you had additional government restrictions that we needed to comply with. So resourcing was, an issue. And as we were discussing previously offline, things like just getting vans. It was almost a fight with half a pull queue with, the other carriers and that to try to get resources at the time. But, to be fair, we did all come together and work well with, government and things on some of those surges. But just being an essential carrier at the time was something to be proud of. And, we pushed that messaging out that we're here to provide a service to the community.
And how has that impacted the business now? I mean, what sort of impact has had on the business with that surge? And obviously it tapers off a bit as all our online purchases have settled down a little bit, but they seem to have probably remained at a very an elevated state than they were pre-COVID, without a doubt. So how has the business managed resourcing out of that?
Yeah, look, that's also been a focus for us, is either maximising the resource that we already had within the business, adjusting it or dispersing it somewhere else, or having to reduce in some areas. Obviously, the economic outlook, at the moment isn't the strongest that within Australia, but our particular industry in e-commerce, we're still seeing spending occurring, and we're still seeing people buying parcels online. So that's driving volumes within our business, which is great.
Yep. Now we'll move on to the fourth thing. Now, the fourth thing we talked about before this as a key thing in the Couriers, or as one of the 5 key things in the CouriersPlease business, where it is today, is technology. Technology in relation to automation, sustainability and everything. You've got a lot going on in technology in this business. And I know with the franchise partners we spoke to today have talked a lot about the changes they've seen, particularly Dom, who has been in for 21 years. He talked about the changes that he had seen. So can you talk us through some of the things that have happened there that have been most significant in technology?
Yeah, certainly. We had spoken about the Courier application that the franchise partners use. I mean, that's just significantly shortened that learning curve for new franchisees that come in. You don't need any experience on the road. You don't need to have been a courier previously. And that investment alone has paid dividends in shortening that onboarding timeline, but also just bolstering the ability for productivity within the business.
Yeah, it's interesting that not just the productivity thing, but making it easier for people to get into the business. Technology is really doing that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would agree. And our facilities now, so with every new facility that we look at, we're probably looking at 2 different things. One is whether we can make that facility greener. And our Gold Coast facility is a great example of that.
You're talking about a warehousing.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And then whether we can actually fit better technology into that facility, and things like automation, and having automation machines within the facility. Our particular industry can be quite manual in its roots, and for us to be able to scale and some of the volume, challenges that we talked about before that we need to face over the next few years if we're going to grow to the targets we have, we need to get smarter about the way we process, our freight within our facilities.
So how do you keep ahead of that? Because I imagine technology moves so quickly, as we all know. Is it the pace in this sort of industry and the logistics industry challenging to keep up with, or what's that look like?
Yeah, I think, look, it's a balance between, how well the commercial team is doing, and at the moment they're going gangbusters. So, we're definitely doing more volume than we've anticipated from, like I mentioned before, some of those marquee accounts that we've brought on and been quite successful entertaining. But when you look at, owners like Singapore Post who have incredible automation in some of their facilities, having a parent company like that, being able to engage with their leadership teams, and there are some awesome vendors that we're also, working with in Australia.
Mm. Okay, and the fifth and final thing in the 5 key things that have made CouriersPlease what it is today, and you wanted to really talk on this, was customer choices. So there's been a lot of work done around the choices for customers at the end user level. What do they look like, and what are those choices that customers now have when they're working with CouriersPlease?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's probably 2 parts to this from a franchise partner perspective. The first one is trying to improve first-time delivery for their customers. And that means that, rather than going and attempting a delivery that might be unsuccessful for whatever reason, bringing that back to the facility and then having to return out to deliver it again, while the freight is in flight, the receiving customer receives a notification. They're able to make some choices about the best way for us to get that parcel to them. And that can include delivering that to a hub location, which might be a location within a short drive of their particular residence.
And what sort of locations are those hubs?
Typically, it's part of the hub network, and they will be, your normal outlets that you might have within a newsagent or a pharmacy or something that makes up that wider hub network. The other benefit for franchise partners is they can do collections from those locations, so they're getting density outbound, and some customers are even requesting direct deliveries into those locations. So it's definitely working for us as well as the receiving customers.
Excellent. That's 5 things. That's 5 key things that have made the CouriersPlease business what it is today. James, thanks for joining us today again.
It was easy. Thanks, Glenn. Excellent.
It was easy, wasn't it? Told you. Thanks very much for joining us on the Franchise Everything podcast. Hope you enjoyed that. These 5 key things that make CouriersPlease what it is today. If you like, please leave a like, subscribe, review, that type of stuff there. Leave some comments there. Ask any questions you like. We'll keep producing these. Hope you enjoy them and get a lot out of them. And I'll catch you in the next one soon.